West Side for 13 years, and then won election in 2005 as the Manhattan Borough President. And then in 2013, he was elected the New York City Comptroller. He's a born and raised in Washington Heights boy, where he attended local public schools and graduated from John Jay College of Criminal Justice, Kennedy High School in the Bronx. He and his wife Elise live with their two sons, Maxwell and Miles, on Manhattan's Upper West Side. But tonight, he's a Bronxite. My pleasure to welcome to Bronx House, our community, Comptroller Scott City.
Welcome home.
It is great to be back. It is great to be home. And I just want to thank our great executive director. Give him a round of applause. He loves his job so much. He really does. One thing. Look good. I just want to just clarify one thing. When the last part of the introduction, he mentioned that I live with my wife and two sons on the Upper West Side. But, you know, because of my age, I want you to know my kids are not 30 still at home, right? Okay, so because some people are looking like, we got to talk to you, Dad, but they're 4 and 2.5, okay? So I just want you to know that. So, look, it's great to be in a neighborhood I know very well, and it's great to be with so many friends I also know very well, and it really is great to be in the Bronx. I've been looking forward to this town hall meeting for a while, because part of my job is to really be the people's voice in city government. You know, we have a lot of great elected officials in the Bronx, and I'm going to shout them out tonight. I work with them, I respect them, they're doing the people's business. The job of controller is a little interesting because we got to do a lot of different things at once. First and foremost, I'm responsible for the $162 billion pension fund that protects retirement security of 700,000 people, our grandparents in particular. And they've worked a lifetime as cops, firefighters, teachers, city workers, and they need to make sure they have retirement security. So we do that first and foremost. The second thing is we work very closely with City Hall because we work with the mayor to make sure that we have a capital plan, we bring bonds to market. When the mayor proposes his budget, we've got to go to the rating agencies, the state financial auditors, and we have to speak with one voice in New York City. And while we're doing all that, I'm also, this is where it gets complicated, I'm the auditor-in-chief, right? So I do the audit. We root out waste, we root out fraud. We have to hold city government to the highest standard. Yes. So on and that's something we have to do. Schools, housing, that's our job. That's right. But you can't do the job unless you're willing to listen to the people. And that's where you come in tonight. This to me is open mic. I didn't select you to be here. I said, come one, come all. I don't want to know your questions in advance. If I can't answer them, I guarantee tomorrow someone from my office is going to call you and start helping you with the problem. If you don't get a call tomorrow, then call me because someone's not going to have a paycheck at the end of the day, right? They know that. So you're getting a call, and just make sure you have an answering machine because they'll freak out if we can't get a hold of you. But the job tonight is for me to listen to you, to answer your questions, to hear your concerns. The Bronx is a work in progress, right? But I know that the people who live here are the backbone of our city. And many of you care not just for yourselves, but you also care about the next generation. The kids who struggle to make it, the people who come to our city for the first time, they want to have a fair shake. And for those of us who have lived in the city a long time, it's magical. You may not have a lot of money. You may not own a lot. But we've got something that very few people in the world have. We have each other. Yep. We speak 170 different languages from 200 countries, and somehow, mostly, we get along. We don't always agree on everything, but if you ever notice, at the end of the day, we get along. I remember when I started doing these town hall meetings when I was borough president, people said, why do you do these meetings? People come, they yell, they question, they hold you accountable. And I said, it's the most amazing thing. We go at it for 2 hours, and at the end of the day, we all feel good about it, right? And we need more of this dialogue from the people and from government. So tonight's our night in the Bronx. And so what I'm going to ask you to just do one more thing. If you have a question, give me a question. If you have a speech, give me the last paragraph of the speech, right? Because I want everybody to have an opportunity. People are going to line up, ask away. Before we begin, I want to introduce, or have them introduce themselves. I brought along some friends to help me. They're the people in the Comptroller's office I rely on. They do great work. They're going to introduce themselves, and from time to time, when I want to dodge a question, when I want to turn it over, I may just call on them to help me. So why don't we start with you, Jason Laidley, Bronx young man, our Bronx director.
Good evening, Jason Laidley, Bronx Borough Director.
Okay, one rule I didn't mention. Jason doesn't get more applause than the boss, or no. Kara?
Hi, I'm Cara Wallace, Chief Diversity Officer.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Tim Mulligan. I'm the Deputy Controller for Budget, so my team does the economic analysis and also the review of the city's budget.
Hi, my name is Sing-Hwan Kim. I'm the Assistant Controller for the Bureau of Law and Adjustment. Deal with the lawsuits.
Sasha Owen, I'm Chief of Staff, so a little bit of everything.
All right. Thank you all for being here. I also just want to shout out a couple of folks. I'll be introducing some people here tonight as well. We have Senator Jeff Klein's office. He's in Albany. They're about to get that budget done, so he was going to be here. But Jose Rodriguez is here from Senator Klein's office. We have the Deputy Commissioner for the Mayor's office. That's the office that works with the community, does a great job. Roberto Perez, give Roberto a shout out. One great community leader who we're all going to get to know, Aisha Bravo. Give Aisha a round of applause. And a young man I've known for a long time who has been a great political leader for the Bronx, and he represents Senator Ruth Haskell Thompson so well, Kenny Augusto. Kenny, good to see you, Kenny. And again, I want to say thank you to Howard Barton, the Executive Director of Bronx House. Great, great guy. Okay, so there are the microphones. It's up to you. A couple of people come up at a time, and I'm ready. Just go right up to the microphone.
I'm getting there. Last paragraph, Mark.
Don't stick a pin in yourself. I don't want to see you flying around.
I'll get around.
All right.
Who goes first? I do. Oh, shite.
All right, I'm going to start on my left.
Me. Thank you, Controller. I have one question and one observation. I was reading your thing on ClaimStat, and I go to 49 precinct council meetings, which you've attended once or twice, that I know. So my question is this, and this will go to claims. It seems that New York City Police Department has the bunch of the claims, pays out the most money in things. And I'm looking at, I spend a lot of time up in Montreal now, like the equivalent of 5 months a year, and we pay a lot less, much less. But what I'm noticing is, every week there's an incident with the police, and it seems to be in poor neighborhoods that we're paying out. Now, I noticed the City Council in New York gave themselves a nice big raise, and it doesn't say how much, it says they can still do something, but isn't much how much they can do under the table. So my two questions to you are, isn't it, since you guard the pensions, when a public official, a councilman or somebody, shouldn't they lose their pension and not be allowed to use funds from the city to pay for their defense? And number two, shouldn't we raise the police salaries higher so we can get the cream of the crop rather than the smegma of the phallus?
All right. I'm in the Bronx. So let me see. So let me answer this. So you mentioned ClaimStat. So when I became controller, and I had to do the first budget presentation, in other words, the mayor presents a preliminary budget, it's my job to critique it, to analyze it, to make thoughtful suggestions where I could. And one of the budget items that we noticed was that claims against the city getting sued, was on the upswing. We pay out over $700 million a year for people suing the city, sometime for the same thing over and over again. So we said, look, one of the things we should do as the chief fiscal officer is we got to start reversing this, because if we could take these claims down 10, 20, 30%, that's a few $100 million that can be for schools, for daycare, for pre-K. There's a lot to be said for reducing these claims. So here's what we did. We started ClaimStat. What we started to think about was analyzing where the claims were coming from and with different agencies. So as it relates to the police, we looked at where the complaints were coming from, and we found that in certain neighborhoods, the complaints were very high. And people were suing the city. So we did our analysis, and we figured out where the claims were coming from. And then we sat down with Commissioner Brett, and for the first time, we're now working with the police department in real time on these claims. So if you see a troubling action in a precinct, we can use the claim data to fix the problem before it turns into a major problem. We've never had this collaboration between a commissioner and a controller in the history, certainly a police commissioner. The other thing that many of you from the community board can appreciate, we started not to just look at police department, but we looked at all the agencies. So the parks department, there were millions of dollars that we were paying out because trees were falling on people and people were suing. So we said, well, why is that happening? Why are we paying out millions when it comes to trees falling on people? How do we solve this? And then we discovered, well, there was a correlation between the trees falling on people and the tree pruning budget being cut by $1 million. So what should we do? We got to restore the tree pruning budget. And we're now working with city agencies to use claims as a way of making the agencies run better. If we can reduce these claims, we are going to be a lot better off. And the preliminary data that we just released shows that in many of the agencies now, especially the police department, claims are now down some 15%. Now, I'm not suggesting that's all about ClaimStat, but I know we're helping. The second part of your question, as it relates to raises, look, you know, we had, when Bill de Blasio became mayor, there were no city contracts, there were no labor contracts that had been settled. It was really a crisis. Over 150 labor contracts, unsettled, not negotiated. I said at the time that was a very bad position for the city to be in. And much to the administration's credit, Roberta would know better, but we've now settled, I think, 80% of the labor contracts. So police contracts, teacher contracts, those are a collectively bargained. What's not collectively bargained is the salaries of elected officials. And every time there is a pay raise, there is always the feeling that this is an issue. So I think that the city council did one thing right and one thing wrong. I think they were right to make their job almost full-time in exchange for the pay raise, and they initiated a number of reforms. I don't think they should have exceeded the independent commission's guidelines, because I think while it made sense for them to have a living wage, I also think that you got to play by the rules, and I think that an independent commission is how we have to deal with some of the corruption issues in Albany, where there hasn't been a pay raise in 20 years. So I do think we have to be honest about the kind of democracy we want and the kind of work that it requires it to be full-time.
Good evening, Comptroller Strager. Hi, I'm Bernadette Ferrara, the president of the Van Ness Neighborhood Alliance. I'm also on Community Board 11, so I'll give you the last two sentences of both my paragraphs. The first thing is the middle-class families of Van Ness. That's where I was born and raised, and I still am. The children do not have a community center for middle-class neighborhoods. We do not have it. They're in the poorer neighborhoods, even in Bronx. You have the Phipps Beacon School, you have the KIPS Boys and Girls School, you have the YMCA out in Soundview. But in Van Ness, we have a lot of middle-class families. The children, the families do not have a place to go, and a lot of the burden was put on the Catholic schools, but the Catholic schools are closed. So, I mean, my son is raised, but there are a lot of families with a lot of children. They don't have any place to go, and even our library was taken away. So we don't have anything in Van Ness, the children don't. That's number one. Number two is that for the borough of the Bronx does not have its 24/7 multi-service animal shelter, which you know I've been advocating for. And the animal owners and the animal rescuers and the animals of the Bronx deserve the same as the other boroughs. So, thank you.
Well, we will work with you on issues related to after-school for kids in community centers. Look, for those of us who grew up in Washington Heights or the Bronx or near Kennedy, listen, we either hung out on the street or we were able to go indoors and we had safe space. And every community, regardless of income, has to have those options for kids, and we'll work with you. We'll definitely work with you in Van Ness. I do believe that we need a full-service shelter system in the Bronx and in Queens. I've been pushing this for the last 10 years. You know, the last administration made a deal to avoid putting those shelters in place. It was a mistake then, it's a mistake now, and part of the way we're identified as a city is how we treat our animals, and the fact that we cannot assist animal rescuers, who, by the way, go out late at night in buildings, vacant lots, at their own expense, and adopt animals, and then literally take them home and raise them before they get a family. We have got to build out the system. And the last thing is we need to reform ACS and give them a fundraising arm, which they could have because they're a quasi-public agency. And we have got to put together a real fundraising arm with people dedicated to doing the fundraising you would do for the Central Park Conservancy or any other place. And that is how we're going to solve this. I think this administration has got to zero in on this. They've made improvements at ACS, but they're not going far enough to the kind of reform we need. Who's next?
Hello, everyone. Hey, Scott. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Well, I'm glad you touched on some of the things, like, for instance, you talked about jobs, right? I don't think there's enough jobs in the Bronx. That's one thing we could look at. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. You go out there and these potholes attack your car every second. It's ridiculous. I mean, you need a tank to get around the city here. You know, that's number one. The other thing, too, is the buses. I have a lot of trouble. I got to wait 25 minutes to half an hour to get a bus in the morning. I'm not even going to talk about it at night. So that's an issue, and then it's crowded, and then I got to wait 2 or 3 buses, especially with the kids going to school.
Where do you live?
Soundview area. All right, so that's a big issue. Also, these high rents. You know, MIH just went through. The numbers don't add up. You don't get enough affordable housing. You know, this trickle-down number, you know, this 20, 30%, whatever, is not enough. What are you going to do with the existing community in the area that lives there?
Well, let me, I don't want to go through the whole list.
Right. And small businesses, they need rent stabilization.
Well, you could take everyone's questions, but I'm going to pick one for you. So we'll take a look at some of the bus routes and the timing, and we will get on that, and we'll call you on those specifics. In terms of housing, look, we are in a housing crisis. The first report I did as Comptroller, we showed that over the last 12 years, New York City has lost 400,000 affordable housing units that used to rent for $1,000 or less. This impacts every borough. This isn't just Manhattan anymore. This gentrification has spread everywhere.
Yep.
So we need a response like nobody's business, because look what's happening to our city. We're building housing for the very, very wealthy. We get scatterings of affordable housing, but it's not permanent. So we kick the can down the road. We need to be bigger and bolder in our thinking. LaGuardia, when he was mayor, I wasn't around then, but here's the facts. That's why I had the kids, so I'm out of there. But when public housing was built, it was the housing that was the gateway to the middle class. It was the most successful housing program. And we've let it fall in disrepair from the federal government, state, and city. We got to bring back public housing. But we need another program, and it's called Mitchell-Lama 2. The Mitchell-Lama housing program was the most successful housing program ever created in the nation. What a partnership that was. These buildings were created in neighborhoods that no one wanted to live in, right? And the people who came, African American, Latino, Caucasian, people of all different backgrounds living side to side. This started in the 50s. And pioneers came to the Bronx, and people came and they built this housing. The landlord got a fixed percentage, people got affordable co-ops, and we created neighborhoods based on a housing program that no one thought would work financially. And for a while in the 60s, that housing had a rocky road. We've got to go back to that. Now, I offered an analysis and an audit I want you to think about real quick. We identified right now 1,100 vacant properties in the city. See, everyone thought there's no more vacant land in New York, but there's 1,100 properties. Some of those properties have been vacant for 35 to 50 years. Now, these properties will support the city's affordable housing plan because we can lease those properties to not-for-profit organizations that do not have a fiduciary responsibility to make 15% profit for their investors, and we can give 99-year leases so that people can live the way we build public housing and Mitchell-Lama housing. So that is what I want to see as part of an evolving affordable housing plan. We can't lose 400,000 units in 12 years. And the developers, they're doing just great. They're doing just great. You tell them, give me 20% for 20 or 30 years, they smile to themselves. I'll give you 25. I'll even give you 30. Just don't touch my luxury. So we end up tipping neighborhoods and pushing people out, especially in communities, in Morris Park and other places, where there may not be that much rent-regulated units. And that's the fight that's happening in East New York and why I have a problem. Because there's 50,000 people who don't live in unregulated apartments, and when the gentrification comes, they're going to be out. We have seen it neighborhood by neighborhood. So I want to work on this, and I'm happy to talk about it tonight.
Thank you, Scott.
Good evening, Comptroller Stringer. My concern also has to do with affordable housing, specifically in the Parkchester area. I don't know if your office was made aware, but recently the Board of Directors instituted an increase to the condo owners, 15.19%,
Yes.
outrageous. We've had several meetings with some of the community leaders. Nothing has happened so far, but many of the residents have expressed concern that perhaps there's some misappropriation of the money that they're receiving from us, and we have requested a forensic audit. We don't know how to go about doing that. Is that something your office can help us with?
We will work with you. In fact, our office has been in touch, and at the meetings in Parkchester, the rent increase is huge. It has to be, there hasn't been a justification. We're working with the Public Advocate's Office and all the local elected officials. We are part of that group. So we will continue to meet with the Tenant Association, or I will meet with you personally, to talk about how we can use our financial oversight to make sure you're getting treated the right way. And again, whether it's Parkchester or Stuyvesant, we have major complexes that provide affordability to working families, and you can't rent increase them out of these apartments because there's nowhere to go.
But can the Board of Directors make that increase without the owners present? Because we were informed after the fact.
Well, the board represents you. So without getting to the specifics of the issue, I will have someone call you. This is my 24-hour rule. We will have the person in our office who's working on this call you tomorrow and go through the issues. And if there's more that we can do, I will do it. Okay?
Hi, that's Scott. My name is Fernando Torado from Need Strategies, and your office has had several red tape commission meetings throughout New York City. And as you know, the Small Business Protection Act has stalled in the City Council since 1985. What is the city doing through your office to help small businesses start and stay in business? And has there been any updates to the number of small businesses, specifically MWBEs, that have been able to access city contracts, of which you published a document outlining how many people are not getting access to contracts, how city agencies are ranking with regards to providing opportunities for small businesses? So
Well, Bronx is asking amazing. You're putting me through my paces. Okay. All right, so yesterday, after a year of holding hearings in all 5 boroughs, the Bronx was the first hearing. We had 31 of our commission members, people who are small business owners and have expertise in finance. We we decided to listen to what small business owners had to say about dealing with the bureaucracy and the red tape of city agencies. And we issued our report yesterday. It made 60 recommendations about how to make it better and easier for small businesses to survive. One of the things that we talked a lot about was getting rid of these expediters. You know, you have a small business, you got to call city agency, you got to hire a middleman to do your bidding with an agency. Well, once you hire a middleman to call a government agency, you're already behind, right? Another thing is you open up a restaurant, you have questions for the Department of Health, right? You want to know what the rules are. You actually have to pay $400 to the Department of Health so that you can have a quote-unquote seminar. Really? $400 just to ask a question? That's wrong. The other thing we looked at was the fact that people who are trying to open up their business have no certainty when the license or the permit is going to come to them, so they end up paying rent for months and months, and this is big rent. And then at the end of the day, the permit doesn't come for months and months, so now you're already behind opening up your small business. UPS, you can track your UPS package when it starts in California, right? Gets to Chicago, you can go online. All those folks who wanted those first iPhones, they watched their iPhone go from Silicon Valley all the way, right? But if you want to track your permit as a small business owner, there's only one person in the whole world who knows where it is, and that's God, okay? Nobody knows. So these are our recommendations. We're going to work with the city. We've had some success in the city. The mayor's put together some very good programs in the agencies, Small Business Accelerator Program, and I'm pleased to report that while we have a record number of fines given out in the city, when it comes to small business fines, that has been reduced in 2 years, 20%. So we're going to make some headway there, and we didn't really address in the report because I feel we're going in the right direction, but we do have these good, these ideas that we're going to now talk to communities about, and I'm doing local walks in small business communities all over the city with our book, because I think we can campaign for this.
And the updates to your book were accessing city agency contracts?
Well, every year, as many of you know, or some of you know, and Carol Wallace is our chief, the first ever appointed chief diversity officer in the city of New York. She works in the Comptroller's office. I'm going to let Kara speak to the work we're doing to hold the city accountable to women and minority-owned businesses. We spend $14 billion in our budget every year in the city. $14 billion. We buy we buy food. We hire law firms, accounting firms. We are a big business. New York City buys things from businesses, right? Of that $14 billion, just 5% of that money is spent on women and minority-owned businesses, even though we have thousands of certified MWBEs. And if you look at a room as diverse as this is New York City now. The fact that we can't get this done is a real challenge economically for the city and for the people in all our neighborhoods. Kara, do you want to just add what you're doing to make things better?
Yes, so as the Comptroller said, we are putting out this report. It's an annual report, and year over year we saw a little bit of improvement. And as we're tracking each month, so far this year the city spent over $600 million, which is going in the right direction, but it's really not happening quick enough. So we are definitely working with the agencies, and we're seeing the agencies start to initiate a lot more programs, especially agencies like DDC, the Department of Design and Construction. They've been very proactive in breaking down their contracts into smaller contracts so that small businesses can have a chance to do business. And SBS has been very proactive in some of the training it's doing. So we're definitely seeing it go in the right direction. The other thing that we've done, and I implore all of you to make sure that you're going on to our website, because number one, Checkbook NYC gives you every single check that's written to every vendor, every contract, so the information is right there in front of you. And for those of you that want to start to do business with the city, we have something called Vendor Roadmap on our website that really does lay it out in a user-friendly, real easy way for you to get started in your business.
Thank you, Kara. Sir, thank you, ma'am.
Bien, quien habla es Héctor Castillo,
This is Hector Castillo who speaks.
el líder comunitario de aquí de Nueva York, específicamente del Bronx.
Community leader here in the Bronx, here in New York, specifically the Bronx.
Nosotros tenemos un frente de culto que tiene 400 pastores y cada rato nos están diciendo y hablando.
Have an organization that has 400 ministers and are always speaking
con relación al presupuesto de la iglesia
about the church budget.
Y también en el año 2005
and also in 2005
planteamos en la Broadway con 14
we proposed Broadway
frente a 1 millón de gente.
In front of 1 million people.
Planteamos lo que se está desarrollando ahora, que están pidiendo a 15 pesos la hora.
Now being developed, which is requesting or requiring $15 an hour.
Pero quiero decirle que la mayoría de los patrones explotadores,
but I would like to say that the majority of the bosses who exploit
tienen que entrar en contacto con la capacidad humana.
Have to reach or within the human capacity.
Y esa capacidad humana,
and this human capacity,
con la capacidad productiva de cualquier empresa o de cualquier patrones,
with the capacity to produce
y ahí sale,
from any business,
y ahí sale el supercapital.
You can get super capital from
y del supercapital sale la gran plusvalía que viene siendo la felicidad.
And from that super capital you can get the great capital gain or betterment.
Yo quiero preguntar,
I would like to ask,
y atiéndame bien, señor Contralor, que yo siempre lo estoy respaldando y apoyando.
Please listen to me, Sir Comptroller. I'm always backing you.
¿Qué fórmula?
What formula?
¿Qué química?
What chemistry?
Ustedes tienen para enderezar los caminos presupuestales de la gente humilde y pobre aquí del estado de Nueva York.
To better the budget of the people, the humble people of here of the city of New York.
4. I think that's pretty good. Give him a round of applause. Thanks for passion. You know, part of what we have to recognize is for a very long time, a lot of communities in the Bronx have been shortchanged, and they weren't getting the fair share. And part of what I am trying to do, working with Borough President Diaz and elected officials in the Bronx, is making sure that when we do our analysis on the budget, that resources are now coming to communities that for years have been neglected. And that's where our budget relationship with the mayor, I think, pays off, because we're able to showcase, and so is he, but also the borough presidents, like Borough President Diaz plays a role too in terms of capital spending and allocation. Tim, do you want to add anything on the budget?
No, just the.
That was a test, Tim. No.
Just the fight for 15, and you know, on the verge of very good news.
That's right. Tonight we're really on the verge. And we don't have the final agreement from Albany, but everybody fought to raise the wage to $15. And our office estimates that if we raise the wage to $15, we'll put $10.5 billion back into the hands of the community, the local stores, and this is crucial for people. Thank you.
It needs to be higher. Good evening. My name is Jackson Strong. I'm a member of Community Board 4, and thank you for hosting the town hall.
It's great.
I have 2 questions for you. My first question relates to subway construction costs. Now, I know that the MTA is a state agency, but we just completed the 7th Avenue train extension to the West Side Rail Yards. Now, that one station, the 7th train, the 7th train to the West Side Rail Yards. Now, that one train line, which is not even 1 mile long, cost the city $2.4 billion. Our construction costs here are orders of magnitude higher than any other city on this planet. And not only that, but what do we have to show for it? Our brand new station is falling apart. There's massive leaks. Someone just got injured there. And my question to you as comptroller is, the contractor that did the job, Yonkers Contracting, if you Google them, the first thing that comes up is fraud, the ties to organized crime, inability to complete the job. Who chose these guys? Like, we're paying, the MTA.
All right, I got you. You're right. And by the way, that's a fair question. we're gonna take a look at that contractor, and listen, we believe that we have to do major transportation projects, but for God's sakes, they're never on time, and they're never on budget. When I got elected Manhattan Borough President, with great pride, I went to the 4th grand opening of the 2nd Avenue subway. And this hurts our economy, because if we can't move people and we can't move goods and services, the city dies. And when you think about expanding beyond the Manhattan core, that we've got to build a strong, and Borough President Diaz is talking about more subways in the Bronx, more big capital projects. It'd be nice if we could see the MTA fully funding their end of the deal on the MTA capital budget. People have to understand that we're not just paying the subway fare or the bus fare, but when you add up all the hidden taxes and fees New York City residents pay, we get hit twice. We pay a double fare as New York City residents, and all we're asking for are buses and trains that run on time with really good infrastructure.
Okay, so my second question is with regards to city-owned property that's located on River Avenue. 1000 River Avenue and 728 River Avenue, which combined have over 700,000, they're surface parking lots. And they have, the properties themselves are worth over $40 million if you, based on the buildable square footage. Now, it's being used right now as surface parking, and the entity that the city is contracted to run it, the Bronx Parking Development Company, is a entity, Hudson, New York-based entity, ran out of somebody's house that has defaulted in the past on tax-exempt bonds. And not only that, but I mean, why doesn't the city sell this land so it can fund schools, parks? That land is worth over $100 million, and they owe the city. Not only that, but they're not paying the city a dime. The Bronx Parking Development Company is in arrears of tens of millions of dollars on this property. And you know how quick the city is to issue a parking ticket, and yet this entity owes the city over $100 million, and we haven't done anything.
You remind me of a controller. So these are good questions. We will give you a card. We're going to check out what you said, and I'll come back to you in the community, okay? Thank you. You raised some good issues. Thank you. What the heck? Mr. X, how are you?
Just for the record, Scotty Tuhati, you haven't contacted me since the last time we spoke. We were at 126 St. Philip on December 3, and nothing has changed since then. I blasted you about your behavior, and nothing has changed. You used to tell people you'll get a phone call from us on the following day. You never contacted me when you were the Manhattan Borough President. Now you're the City Comptroller, and you still haven't contacted me. Okay? When we spoke in December, I complained about Robert Morgenthau, a.k.a. Freddy Krueger. I complained about his former flunky, Marsha Benabo. Looks like Burt Ward on a Batman with Adam West. I stated Freddy Krueger violated my rights when I was in Carson, Manhattan, and when I left that dump, I didn't get my money and property. Did you contact the New York City Corruption Department about that?
Now I'm reminded why I don't call you the next day, but give me a question. And by the way, you've been coming to my town hall meetings for 10 years, so it's great that you're here.
Okay,
give me a question.
I just gave you a question. I asked you, did you contact the New York City Corruption Department, not the New York City Corruption Department, about my case? That's all I want. Did you do that? I know you didn't contact me.
I didn't contact you, but we will talk offline tonight. We'll have somebody face up talk to you.
Okay.
Good to see you, but thank you for being here. Okay. Thank you, Mr. X. Next question.
Yes, good evening all.
Could you speak into the mic?
Good evening all. Based on written decisions by 3 judges, I'm supposed to be a terrorist. According to the jerks, I made thinly veiled threats in the idiom used by the perpetrator of the Fort Hood massacre. At Fort Hood, Nidal Hassan killed 13 soldiers and wounded 32. The same judicial jerks also write, I committed a violent Class B felony. So in our democracy, we do not have effective checks and balances over the judiciary branch of government, which has self-conferred upon itself judicial immunity based on a the worst Supreme Court decision of the 20th century? What are you going to do to overturn the doctrine of judicial immunity and provide checks and balances over judicial jackasses? Thank you.
It turns quickly. I'll have to get back to you.
Good evening, Mr. Stringer.
Sorry.
I work for a company that builds train in New York City. And I've been building almost 5,000 cars. Subway, they're running, everybody running here every day. But what is really giving my alarm, that I see every time I have to interview those young folks, children, they go up there, ask for a job, they're asking for the high quality level of education for them to work on the road. And I do see that. But then what is more alarming to me, when I see we throw away all these cars, they go to the water. And I say, hold on one second, why are we doing this? I mean, I build in the train and I know what I need to do to refurbish this train, put 400 people back to work, and at least we can have work for the people here in the community. Then even we can sell the train, we can use it here, we can go and use the train in the third world country, in the United States, and anywhere part in the world. I said, this is something that people will not see that. But those cars that go into the water, they has a high grade value. The car shell is still in a good condition, that I can put this train back to work with the people that I work together with. And we can put these people back to work. And that's really very alarming to me.
You know what I love? I think you make a great suggestion, and that's how great ideas happen in the city. And you're right, we should definitely be talking to you to figure out a way to make your business plan work, especially for the kids who need the jobs to get them through school. So we're going to talk to you, you're going to give me the contact information, and I am going to call you tomorrow, and we're going to start talking to you, okay?
Because one thing I started to get a company is being since last year. But there more, because if I do something, I wanted to do something right, that is qualified, that it meets all the regulations of the state, not only the state, the country. That because what we have to do, something that the people can use it, that is safe for them to use it. And I know what I need to do to help that community.
Thank you, and we will get to you, and thank you for coming tonight. Next.
Good evening, my name is Loletta Brown, and I'm a member of Banana Kelly Resident Council.
Ooh, Banana Kelly.
Banana Kelly is in the house. We are now currently in a low-income housing crisis. Rent housing plan and focus for solutions have been development and building as a solution to the crisis. What I would like to know is what can be done to strengthen the preservation of low-income housing.
Well, we talked about it. First of all, I want to say that Banana Kelly is just an excellent organization representing the Bronx, and they are doing a great job. And we've spent a lot of time talking about permanent affordable housing. We mentioned a couple of ideas, right? We have to invest in NYCHA. We've done 8 audits of NYCHA. The backlog repairs, 55,000 repairs. We need a new management system in place. You can track at NYCHA every crime that's committed at NYCHA, but you can't track one repair to your apartment. We've got to hold them accountable once and for all. Second, we need to invest in another Mitchell-Alma 2 program, more development of vacant property, and we shouldn't let Albany off the hook. We need strong rent protection laws so that we don't increase the homeless population to 100,000 people. So this is the work that we have to do, and we're going to do it in the Comptroller's office. And we'll work with Banana Kelly and everybody who's associated with a progressive view of what housing should be about. And we cannot just allow or rely on the development, the for-profit development community to dictate the levels of affordability in a city where we are losing a lot of our affordable housing. So we'll work with you. Thank you.
Intro 214.
Good evening. My name is Father Frank Skelly. I'm pastor of Immaculate Conception in the South Bronx. We have many issues in the South Bronx, but I'm here tonight with a very local one about our church. We were informed last August that we were to be landmarked. I had a landmark church in East Harlem. The restrictions by landmark for a poor community, we just can't pay what they're asking to do. The process is they simply inform you, and on April 12th they will have a vote to designate us. So I'm wondering, the people are against it of my parish. So some local historical groups are for it. They are not the ones paying the bill in the parish. The people in the parish are paying the bills. We are against this. I've had the experience in East Harlem. I wanted a handicap ramp in 1999. It still doesn't have a handicap ramp because Landmark said it would take away from the look of the church. So right now I'm in the same position, but I'm trying to stop it. So I was hoping the borough president also would be here because we need a voice saying that this shouldn't happen. The people in my parish is the poorest congressional district in the country, and usually when you have landmarks, your prices double any kind of repairs. That's a fact. That's a fact that we've lived with.
No question, that's strong. We'll work with you. Can we work with you and I'll contact you tomorrow, Father? And
I would appreciate that.
The borough president could stop by at any moment, and we could certainly work with his office. We have a great relationship. I will certainly do that tomorrow. He's not here yet, but I do want to take an opportunity to introduce the New York City Public Advocate is here tonight. If you got Tish here and I'm here, where's De Blasio could show up tonight, right?
Good point.
So, I just happened to be in the neighborhood. And I wanted to stop by. So good evening, everyone. Hello, Bronx. How you doing, Calvin Parkway? So, you know, obviously I love Scott Stringer. He's doing a great job with our pension dollars and making sure that our resources are in check, making sure that we're paying the bills on time, and everything is moving very swiftly and expeditiously and professional in the Office of Comptroller. So give him a round of applause. Yeah. And the Comptroller and I, we had a rally earlier to respond to some comments by a certain candidate who's running for president, right? Particularly as it relates to women. So women, are you in the house? Are you with me? That's right. Very good, very good, very good. It's not. I'm just saying we're women. That's it. We love women. Yes. So I understand my staff has been here and they have been messaging me and tweeting me and recording, and a number of issues have come up. Obviously, the crisis in affordable housing. I know all of you are concerned about the rezoning that will be happening in the Bronx. The Comptroller and I have expressed concerns with regards to the rezoning. We are concerned about the crisis in affordable housing because this evening 60,000 New Yorkers will go to sleep in our shelters homeless. We know the Comptroller has been doing a great job with regards to performing oversight over our shelters in the city of New York, which should raise concern amongst all of you in this city. And of those 60,000, 23,000 are children, and a significant number of those children are special needs children. As a public advocate of the city of New York, if your question is, well, what do you do? Why, thank you for coming by, but what do you do? This is what I do. I do three things, basically. I legislate, I introduce laws into the city council. I provide oversight over the mayor as well as the city council. In addition to that, I litigate. We have introduced more litigation than all other public advocates combined. We successfully won a lawsuit recently, I'm sure you read in the paper, against NYCHA for turning off heat for NYCHA residents. Thank you. We won that battle. We stood up on behalf of special needs children who were locked in hot buses. We won that battle. We stood up on behalf of special needs children in certain schools who are not getting the services that they deserve. We won that battle. We won against this administration. They were engaging in they have a contract called CSIS, which unfortunately is not tracking special needs children. We brought that to our attention. It cost all of us millions of dollars. They are reforming CSIS in the city of New York. We brought to the attention of the administration, and we filed a lawsuit when the administration decided to not provide notice to senior citizens and the disabled whose DRE and SCRE were terminated, which was wrong. And so we were able to get those individuals their benefits reinstated, and we were able to provide notice to all the residents who now have SCRE and DRE. And so we have a wide range of lawsuits in the city of New York, and the most important lawsuit that I'm really happy about is we filed a lawsuit again to protect the rights of foster care children in the city of New York. New York City and New York State. New York City, in terms of getting children into permanent homes, is doing really poor. Out of the 50 states, we're like 48 in terms of engaging in permanency planning for children in the city and then in the state of New York. And so what I heard from children is children who were sexually abused, psychologically abused, and mentally abused. And on behalf of all of you, we had to file a lawsuit to protect children in the foster care system, and that's what we did. We've got a number of other lawsuits, but what I heard this evening through my staff is the crisis in affordable housing. We are working in our office in regards to Parkchester to mitigate that rent increase. We've had a number of meetings, and we hope to be reporting back to you in regards to our progress working with Councilmember Palmer and other elected officials on the state level. We also are concerned about the high unemployment of young people in our community. High unemployment rate, and the fact that a significant number of them are dropping out of our high schools. We need to look more towards vocational training and making sure that they are trained for high performance, high jobs, and for jobs in the tech industry and jobs in the 21st century. That's what the Office of Public Advocate does. We legislate, we litigate, and last but not least, we agitate the hell out of the mayor. So, I want to thank the Comptroller. I want to thank Comptroller Stringer again for this town hall meeting. I know it's open mic, and I don't want to, I see you, oh my goodness, let me move out of the way, because there's nothing more dangerous than a woman with a made-up mind, and a woman with a hat is certainly a woman with a made-up mind. So I'm going to exit. My staff will continue to monitor the situation and continue to report to me and to my office about how we can assist you working with the Comptroller of the City of New York. Thank you for allowing me to see your clear words, and enjoy the evening.
Give another round of applause for our public advocate, Tim James. Thank you, Tim. Before we get to your question, though, in addition to the public advocate, we have Ramon Cabral from Congressmember Serrano's office. Give him a round of applause. We have Michael from Councilmember Vacca's office is here. Give Michael a round of applause. And Natalia Fernandez from Assemblymember Jonai is here as well. Give her a round of applause. So we've got a packed house. Now, all right, it's you.
Okay. I listened to the beginning to your speech where you are concerned about money, and I'm very concerned because every dollar that is earned in this country, in this city especially, more than 60 to 65 cents is taken out of every earned dollar, and it's taken in taxes. All these taxes are hidden. A lot of them are hidden. They're on food, they're on transportation, they're on gasoline. I've had enough. But I'm talking now about waste. And one of them is, every time you open the newspaper, someone's getting hit with a car. And the reason that is, they wanted now to have a film on showing people how not to hit pedestrians. But the reason why the pedestrians are getting hit is because they lowered the wattage in the lighting. And on the street corners, you can't see a pedestrian crossing. No driver wants to hit anybody. That's a very expensive thing for the city to pay out all those accidents that could be avoided. If they're going to pay $2–3 million for someone to make a video, they could put up better lighting instead.
Okay.
That's another issue.
Cutting corners.
Another issue is the potholes on Pelham Parkway North. I've called Vacca's office, I've called the city council, I've called 911, and I've even handed out flyers.
All right, let me do this.
Nobody's fixing it.
Okay, we got two issues. I'm going to ask Singwan, who does all of our pothole complaints, litigation on potholes, let him answer the pothole question.
But I have a few more before
But we don't have a few more. We have a few more people behind you, so everyone gets two.
This has an issue to do with the issue of cost, and that's congestion pricing. We don't want more tolls and more bridges. We have enough expenses. Families can't afford these tolls, and they can't afford to spend $18, $15 to go to New Jersey.
All right. Well, let me do this. You know, Bronx, you are okay. This is great. I'm coming back next week. All right, but can I get you? I want to get you on potholes. Sing one.
Everyone, if you see a pothole in your neighborhood, go to the Department of Transportation's website and tell them that there's a pothole there. Because if something happens to your car and you didn't tell the Department of Transportation about it, we can't pay you for damages to your car. So I urge everyone to contact the Department of Transportation when you see a dangerous pothole.
All right, thank you, Sing One. Thank you for being patient. We're coming back to the left side.
Hello, my name is Edna Lundquist. I am a resident council leader. I have two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to know your feelings on rent rollback, one. And two is, what are you going to do about the cluster sites and protecting those units?
So, many of you may be aware that in December, I issued an audit of homeless shelters and the cluster sites. And what we found was something very serious and damning. 53% of these shelters had real evidence of rats, major infestation. We found that there were serious code violations in many of these facilities. We came back a few weeks later and we issued what I think may be the first ever compilation of violations in the homeless shelters, and it came to 18,000 violations. 3,000, for those of you who are housing advocates, 3,000 were the hazardous ones, the ones that shouldn't go past 24 hours to fix. As Tish mentioned, and I feel strongly about this as well, the 58,000 people who sleep in homeless shelters, 23,000 are children. We found real evidence that there was no security in many of these cluster sites. One security guard for 16 buildings. Parents were holding the door in one hand and holding their baby in another hand. The crisis of homelessness in the city, it's the invisible city. It's a city that we don't go to every day. Maybe we see it on the street, but we never see it behind closed doors. We blew the lid off this issue, and we did it big. And I'm proud to tell you tonight that between the governor and the mayor, we are getting results. For the first time, these shelters are now being inspected. In fact, they're being inspected by more people than ever in the history of the homeless shelter system. We got that done. And we are now working with Steve Banks, who's the HRA commissioner. People don't, I'll tell you this because we're at a town hall meeting, but it's really not for the press. But yes, I criticize and we expose, but I've also walked the homeless shelters with the Coalition for the Homeless and the mayor's office. Because at the end of the day, we've got to get something done. And we've got to protect people. The real struggle is how we create a system that is safe. Now, I know that with 58,000 people in homeless shelters, anyone who tells you this is going to go away in 90 days or 200 days is just not telling you the truth. We may not be able to solve the problem today, but there's no doubt in my mind, given the resources of this city, that we can make every shelter safe and every child safe. And when you go into a shelter and see those little kids, they don't know they're in a homeless shelter. They are with their friends. They are getting programmatic help. And our job is to keep them safe through their most difficult childhood moments. And that is something that if there's anything I do between now and not being controller, I promise you, we are going to expose and fix the invisible city in all of our 5 boroughs. We have to do this. We have to.
Good evening. First of all, thank you for having this open meeting. It's really unique. My name is Myra Goggins, and I've lived in the Bronx all my life, which is now 79 years. And
All right.
A lot of the issues that have come up tonight, I have worked on. I'm a member of the Pelham Parkway Neighborhood Association
Great
and
association.
the Northwest Bronx Community
Very good.
Coalition. And we have worked to keep the Bronx intact, and now we are paying the price for saving the Bronx because we have all these new problems where we have gentrification and what have you. However, my issue tonight is something I've been trying to work on for almost 20 years. I'm sorry, I think the public advocate has left. A previous public advocate, Mark Green, had appointed me to the Transit Advisory Council, and I quit after a few years in disgust because you cannot get them to do anything about accessoride. I have tried in the course of my life in Pelham Parkway to get our councilman, who was the head of the chair of the Transportation Committee, to do something about accessoride. My ask for you tonight is, would you please review the contracts which are let by the TA, the paratransit section? It has gotten so much worse because now there's an extra layer of bureaucracy. They always had a problem with their own contractors, you know, their accessoride vans and cars. But now we have to deal with brokers who then contract with kind of fly-by-night local companies. No one is accountable. Accessoride said, oh, you have to deal with the broker. And it's an impossible situation. So if someone could please review, because they are making more money. They had problems at Accessoride because they weren't training and paying their people enough. Now these people are getting paid by the individual that they pick up.
I hear you. I'm going to come back to you. Can't do it tonight.
Okay.
But you have my commitment that this system has to be made whole.
Terrible.
So just give me a little more time.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Sir.
My name is Aldo Perez. I'm from the New York Political Coalition, and I would like to thank you for coming to our event at Peace December, where you came to for the Bangladeshi community. My question is for the growing immigration population in our community in the Bronx, well, in general, the entire New York City. Right now, in our public school systems, we have ESL classes only for Spanish-speaking students, but not really for Bengali or Arab-speaking students or even African-speaking students. What is the Comptroller's Office going to do in helping getting funding for the Board of Education to have funding for those schools, like the Park Chester area? I mean, if you look at the school systems that we have right now, we have the school systems right now in our area that have soup kitchens for the kids. 99% of the children are actually receiving free lunch. I mean, homelessness is rampant in New York City, we know that. But there's actually no funding for our children. And our children's growth, and with all the Islamophobia that's going on as a Muslim and a Latino Muslim, I find it right now that we're actually not really getting that much support. And what is the Comptroller's Office going to do in partnership with our city elected officials to actually promote a safe atmosphere and a productive atmosphere in education, also for Muslims and other ethnicities that are growing within our city?
We have worked very hard over the past many years to make sure that all communities are safe. And we are very committed to making sure that the Islam community and all of the communities can live in the city free of hate crime attack. And it's something that we're all committed to, because at the end of the day, there's not a group in this room that has not felt hatred and racism, and our children should not be victims to that. I think you're right, very strongly. The school system is always evolving because cities are always evolving. And we've now put some holidays in place that reflect the diversity of the kids in school, but we can't stop there. We have to make sure that we have the appropriate education for the kids. So I'd be happy to sit with you. I've come to your meeting, but perhaps it's time for us to sit down. We regularly meet with stakeholders of different groups all over the city, and I would be happy to have that meeting with you. In the meantime, one of the things that we've been able to do is, I think we put together one of the best immigrant rights manuals in the city so that people know their rights. And we've translated the manual in many different languages, including Bangladeshi. So it's a beginning. We have to do more, but we'll definitely work with you. And if you give me a call, I'll be happy to sit down with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Saray Davis, board member of Community Board 6, servant in the Department of Buildings for the past 3 years. But more importantly, I come to you tonight as a mother of a special needs child. We have a deep problem in this city, and especially in the Bronx. The Bronx has been treated like the stepchild of the boroughs for years.
Yes.
Especially our special needs and medically fragile children. An article hit the New York Times on March 1st, and I've had indigestion for 30 days waiting to talk to you about this. $130 million was invested in a system that failed to capture information on children who deserve to have these services. Through no fault of their own have they been born blind, disabled, medically needy, with autism. They should be first in line for these services, not in back taking a number. And as for the shelter system, we went through 3 of them, with a trach and a ventilator and no jurisprudence. Yeah, you remember that, don't you, Elizabeth? But we got through, and now my hands are my only vouchers. But that being said, my main issue is the schools. She didn't even get her therapy on time that was mandated by her IEP. Why? These people pass the city test. They have these titles. And then when they don't get the therapist in school, they boomerang the responsibility back on the parent to find a therapist. I'm sorry, I work a full-time job. So after work, I have to hope that these places are open, hope that someone will get back to me, and hope further that someone will come and service my kid. But not just my kid, all of the kids of the Bronx, because they're my neighbors. And when they grow up, if they don't get what they deserve, they're going to become recidivists. And it's not right, and it's not fair. Where's the jurisprudence?
Well, what I'd be happy to do is, Singwan is here tonight. If you would spend some time with him to work on some of the issue that you may have. And generally, the thing that I can speak to, as Comptroller, I can't always talk about the issues we're working on, but we are deep into this.
I understand, but the buck needs to stop here because 130 million of them failed. And there's over 6,000 kids like my daughter here. She doesn't have her trach now. She was medically fragile, and I've been on top of the school since day one. And I know there's parents out here who don't speak English, who are afraid to speak up. Well, I'm here for all of them in the Bronx because we need help. And if these children get left behind, it's a sad day for New York.
I want you to, I think you're absolutely right. How old's your daughter?
My daughter is going to be 7 on the 14th, right, Elizabeth?
How old?
7 years old.
Happy
and she
birthday.
was born at 25 weeks, so she's
Wow.
both places, all right?
Can
As
we
I
give
wish
you a
for
round
all
of
the kids
applause?
in the Bronx.
Wow. And by the way, the fact that you're here tonight with your daughter.
And my son who wants to be on the phone, but he's here too to support his sister because he's been there since
Where's
day
your son?
one. Vinny, raise your hand, Vincent. That's my
You
son.
on the phone? All right, Vincent.
Community leader.
He's taking care of. I want you to. Can we get you with Singwan? You want to do it now?
Sure.
Could you step out? No, can you step out and take the information?
Thank you.
Okay. As long as I volunteer.
But let's not forget these kids who definitely need a voice.
Fair enough. Singwan, you came to the right place. Wow.
Yes.
By the way, Jamal Bailey is here from Speaker Heastie's office. Give him a round of applause. Hello, Jamal. Thanks for coming.
Yes, how you doing, Scott Stringer? My name is Jerome Rice. I'm the branch president of the NAACP in Co-op City, and I'm a retired correction captain. The question that I want to bring to you, are you aware that when an inmate is discharged from Rikers Island and it's more than 120 days, their valuables go to the NYPD Police Sergeant Association. What I'm requesting is that that money go to the victims instead of going to law enforcement. Because trust me, we have enough money. So what I'm saying again, the valuables that is left behind when inmates get discharged from Rikers Island, if it's over 120 days, the money go to the NYPD Sergeant Association. I did 25 years and done that far. And since you saying about saving money, we could start by taking it from the Police Sergeant Association and directing it to the victims who've been victimized of that crime. That's all.
Could you leave me your information so I can get more?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll give it to Jason.
Yeah,
I'll see you
give it to
later.
Jason, yeah, make sure we get there.
All right.
Hi, good evening. I actually wanted to bring up two issues. One of them was already brought up. It's about the local bus schedules, and waiting over 30 minutes is just not an option.
Where are you from? Sound?
Neil Avenue.
Neil Avenue,
Around
okay.
here. My second, it's not an issue, but well, maybe it is. We actually should have more farmers markets in the area. And I'm a public school science teacher, and every year I'm always amazed of how little information the students know about healthy eating. So perhaps, and this is just a suggestion, we do have open space, we have greenery, maybe creating year-round green, what do they call, greenhouse, not greenhouses, what are they called? Like in the botanical garden, something where the students actually can take a part of it, and trust me, you have teachers volunteering to just run the
Can I
program
tell you
themselves.
something? It is the biggest challenge that we face, and that is to make sure that our children have the resources to eat healthy so they can learn healthy. One of the things I did when I was borough president, I really think we should do this where possible everywhere, is on every public school we should build a green roof for two reasons. One, it's learning and it's education, and it will also reduce the heat of buildings, saving money for the city. And I'd be happy to send you this report, but I am with you on this. We should use some of the vacant property we identified. You build housing, but you also build open space. But we have got to create healthy eating options for our kids. And you just can't have farmers markets in the major thoroughfares. You need to take advantage of every community and put farmer market entrepreneurs from upstate and the urban city to create the kind of farming that can feed people in the healthiest way. I agree with you
Or
so
even
much.
perhaps if there's something built there that volunteers can run it.
Absolutely, and there are some great organizations that are doing that. But you're right. Mr. Lita.
Good evening, Mr. Controller. Scott, you and I worked together a very long time, since Georgiana Streeter introduced us in the 90s in Albany. On behalf of Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson, Bronx Park East Community Association, we thank you for this much needed forum here in the Bronx. I just want to add, when you referred to Saint-Juan, to do, Mr. Kim, to follow up on the potholes. What I want to tell everybody is that before you do that, you have to call 311. You have to make a call so you can get a control number, so then we can work with the elected officials in your office. So do that first, please. As you could hear today, this is my last paragraph, that today's biggest issues has been housing, whether you're a homeowner trying to keep your property, trying to keep the prices of the adjacent streets down, or renting, making sure that the rents are low, preventing homelessness with the home base. One other issue we have here, second to Riverdale and other places, we have a lot of Michelamas. Michelamas here represent the hardcore middle class. They're the ones that are being squeezed every day. They got the choice and the chance. We know that Michelamas are dying one building at a time. Here in the 80th, which I've represented for 8 years, and adjacent to the 78th, which I represent now as State Committee, is the crown jewel of the district, Tracy Towers. Here representing Tracy Towers are the residents of Tracy Towers, the president, Gene Hill, as well, member of CB7, and also, right here, and also, Tracy Towers, please raise your hand, and also Brenda Caldwell, president of the 52nd Precinct, and also resident of Tracy. And
I'm so glad you're here.
So, that's, for me, I got elected partially because of them, and here in Pelham Parkway. And representing them well, I have to say what I have to say. We've worked very hard to keep rents down. In the last 4 years, the rent in Tracy Towers has gone dramatically up. And we've worked since State Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson, Assembly Member Joe Nye, the council members Coppell and now Cohen. But we really need your office, as well as the State Controller's office, to do an audit on the management in Tracy Towers.
Between Parkchester tonight and Tracy Towers, Tim, I think we should go back to the drawing board and see what we can do to maybe check out some developments and see what we, and see what we can do.
HPD is a big part of that.
No, I understand that. I mean, just, a lot of people, stop me on the street and they say, I'd like you to audit X. So there's an audit process where sometimes we can't audit what we would like to audit, but this has come up from time to time with huge rent increases. And let me talk to some of the folks here and figure out what we can do. And I'm due to come back to a Tracy Tower tenant meeting. So, if you build it, I will come.
Always invited.
All right, then it's my time to come.
Yes, it's your time.
Okay, ma'am. All right. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, Mr. Controller.
Thank you.
Good evening, Controller Stringer. Thank you.
Speak a little louder.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Controller Stringer. Thank you for the opportunity to come here to speak to you. My name is Edward Taylor. I'm a small business owner here in the Bronx. I started my company 27 years ago, and with a few $1,000s, before we moved to the Bronx, we built it to 22 employees and $7 million. Being in the Bronx, with the help of the Bronx Initiative Corporation and the SBA, we were able to buy a building, and now we have over 60 employees and $22 million in revenue, so thank you, Bronx.
All right.
When I was told that the pick was at our building, of course I rushed back. I was out buying supplies, but it wasn't the Business Initiative Corporation, it was the the Business Integrity Commission. Told me I was in violation and I didn't have a license. So I apologized. They gave me a 22-page questionnaire to fill out, which I filled out. I produced several hundred pages of documents for them. I gave it to their office, and 2 days later they called me up and they said, yes, Mr. Taylor, it appears that you are not organized crime. Pay us $6,000, which I did. Sometime later,
Given the choice.
I don't have a choice, sir. Sometime later, the Business Integrity Commission came back to my place of business and wanted to know when I would be ready to photo ID my employees. I'm on private property. They want me to photo ID my employees, and they have to answer a 12-page questionnaire which asks questions that I would not ask anyone. The Business Integrity Commission was put in place to keep organized crimes out of public markets. I'm on private property. So I can no longer hire people, because before I hire someone now, first they have to fill out a 12-page questionnaire and give $100 to the Business Integrity Commission to give them a license so they can come, and I'm allowed to hire them. So if someone comes and says, well, what do? I sweep floors. If I want to hire someone, technically I can't. I've ignored that, but technically I can. So I went to the New York Times, I went to Cranes, we got a lot of publications on this, and they went away. They're back. They wrote me a letter. They want another $6,000 for me to prove that I don't know what they want anymore. $6,000. So I said, well, what if I don't pay it? They will shut my business down.
All right, so
I'm asking for help, sir.
You've come to the right place. If you will just speak to Jason or who's here? Where's everybody? Can we get pen to paper? We'll take your information. You will get a call tomorrow from us. Obviously, we're not going to solve it in one day, but we will work with you, okay?
Thank you very much,
All right,
Controller.
I'm glad you came. That's why we're here. Okay. Let me just say, so just one quick announcement I start doing around this time. We do the town hall meetings because I always want you wanting more. So I never want to continue this to the last person standing. So I just want to do, I'm going to do quicker answers because I talk a lot. Give me quick questions. We're kind of in the lightning round, so we can move things. I want to make sure we hear from everybody before they throw us out. And how are you?
I'm fine.
Good to see you.
Thanks for everyone to be here. And I'm so thankful Comptroller is here with our community, with our culture, with our society. And I'm so proud. He just came to hear everybody's voice. That's great.
Thank you.
I think we finally got a right person to advocate our community.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
One of the latest upgraded 15.19% increase in Manchester. This is good news. Coming Monday, we are taking action with the Comptroller also supporting this issue. We are proud to him. Upgraded issue. Coming Monday, we're taking action
with all the elected officials. This is number one. Number second, I have three issues. Number second is that we found a South Asian Fund for Education and Scholarship Training organization, and we represent 5 borough, ESL and citizenship program. And our senior citizens, 75% are English proficiency problem, and they cannot be a citizen because of this problem. How you can help to leading this organization represent 5 borough? This is number second. Number third, I think I can give you some advice. I think we need to create a community advisory board from the city controller office with the different culture, ethnicity people. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's good to see you again. Great activist. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Dania Cooper. I'm actually a mom of special needs. She actually graduated from high school, went to college. She actually works for the city.
Wow.
But I advocated because she went through this, she had special needs, and I had to be her advocate. I didn't have you, Scott Stringer, but my daughter loves you. Her name is Aisha Bamba, and she works for Richie Torres, our councilman.
Oh, yeah.
For District 15.
All right.
She says you and her share a birthday, so happy birthday early.
Right. I have a few more under my belt, but it's okay.
Just a couple. She wanted to be here. She is doing participatory budgeting votes this week. So I know that it's been said that the people in City Council they made this big, have this big increase in their salaries. Well, my daughter was working from 9 a.m., sometimes earlier, and leaving the office at 4 a.m. and having to go back again at 9 a.m. So I know that they work hard for us to get things done. Now, we were concerned about affordable housing, and we are hopeful that more affordable housing in our neighborhoods are coming. We're afraid because, we're in the middle income bracket, and we're kind of poor for the middle income, but we make too much money to be considered lower income. So I don't know, but we are having issues with with parking. It's not a personal issue, but it is an issue in our neighborhood. And so we get this affordable housing. We have 3 new buildings in our neighborhood. We weren't even able to get because the lottery listings were minute. There might have been a month long. We never even got an opportunity to apply. Second, now all of this affordable housing, new people, all these cars, no parking. So my hope was, what are the measures we're taking to provide oversight on the parking density in the Bronx? Parking is already difficult, and with the new affordable housing, this will make it worse. What are you doing to resolve this issue?
Well, in my borough president days, we were very involved in land use and zoning. I'm not part of the EULA process, but we have weighed in with great respect on the different plans. I do think that there have been changes made to the zoning plan that was introduced by the mayor, and the city council concluded that. As I said throughout the evening, there's more work that has to be done. And the best way for the city, the mayor, and for the people to realize an affordable city, at the end of the day, it comes down to community-based planning. The housing plan will ultimately have a better shot of success if we are talking to our communities. And I think that is land use 101. And that's why we have to invest in urban planners, in community board leadership, and community stakeholders. You cannot plan for a community without the community. And when that has happened, it's ultimately failed. When we have, in fact, worked with the community, and it's tough, right? People here tonight know more about community issues than many politicians because you live it, you breathe it. we have a great crowd tonight, but you're representing hundreds of thousands of people. So when you come to a meeting, you understand it all. We need to nurture that understanding and that contact with the community. And what I can say to you is I will work with the local council members, the borough president, the mayor, Tish, everybody, to get this right. We have a long road ahead of us. The report I did when I first became controller showed that this is, again, not an easy plan. 400,000 units have been lost over 12 years. Even if we build 200,000, which is hard work, right? It's going to take a long time to realize these goals, and we still haven't really talked about permanent affordable housing for people whose area median income actually reflects the community. This is the great challenge for our city, and it's going to take a lot of work, but it has to start with the community.
Good evening, Comptroller Stringer. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I am on the board of the Bronx Parkies Community Association with Kenny. I'm also founder of the Allerton Bronx Block Association, and I'm with the Allerton International Merchants Association. I'm also on the Neighborhood Advisory Board for the DYCD and some other things. But
and in your spare time, you come to my
town meetings. I come to see you. Yes. I was on the CEC from 2011 to 2013. In which I was with you on the task force about the CECs. I'm not sure whatever happened with that report.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Well,
that was a different era.
Pertaining to schools, that still we should revisit that, yes, because they need to be autonomous.
Yes.
Pertaining to the schools, however, you know, the schools get federal dollars with the ESEA, the No Child Left Behind funds, federal Title I. And in that Title I, you have parental involvement funds. And a lot of these funds are being misused by the principals. They're supposed to go for, there are certain standards you have to meet to use it for parental involvement. The principals use it willy-nilly and they're not supposed to. So if that could be looked into. These funds, they're being misused. They're not supposed to be used.
Tell you what, if I can have someone contact you tomorrow,
okay,
on that's obviously a specific audit request.
Okay.
Let me see where we're at, and I will get back to you.
Okay, and just quickly pertaining to housing, which is, there's another invisible city, people who make less than $15,000 a year. I'm on a fixed income. I've looked at this affordable housing, and the lowest income that you qualify for somewhere like 26 to 30,000. You know, there's those of us who don't have that. You know, 14,000 is like, you know, that's it. So as far as affordable housing, that's another unspoken, that part of it, that's not affordable. It's not affordable for me. I can't move if I want it. And you have women that are in domestic violence situations that because of circumstances may have had a higher income at one point.
No,
now,
so the challenge is, and I think that was what we've talked about tonight. We've got to figure out ways. You know, some say you don't have enough subsidy to bring the rent level down. I think we could do a lot better than what we're doing. But look, we've got a lot of vacant property. We have great not-for-profit housing organizations. All they want to do is run real good housing. We have the models of public housing and Mitchell-Lama. And if you study what other localities around the country are doing, we need more options to get the affordability done so we can keep people out of the shelters. Look, you're this close between shelter and a permanent home. The late voucher, if we had more Section 8, we've got landlords that are discriminating against people who, I've been in the homeless shelter, where a guy said to me, I got a Section 8 voucher. And he knows he's not going to get an apartment because the landlord won't rent to him. Right. Link voucher is the same thing. So we have got to stop pretending that because we come up with these programs, people are able to access them, and we need to, whether it's prosecute or investigate people who will not, who refuse people who can afford an apartment. That is civil rights 101, right? Everyone has the right to shelter. And if you have a child, it's outrageous for them.
Good evening, Comptroller. My name is Tamara Rivera, and my concern is about jobs. Good jobs. Better yet, careers in the Bronx in construction. I'm a carpenter for the past 21 years, and there's a lot of pride in what I do. However, if it's not a school or a federal funded project here in the Bronx, we can't touch it. There's a lot of infrastructure coming down the pipeline, as you know, with affordable housing. And we want to be a part of it. We're constantly having to go to money-making Manhattan all the time, which is fine, but our money goes there, and we pay taxes. So what can we do to be a part of the affordable housing that's coming up? How do we talk to the mayor, to the developers, everybody that's saying that it's open shop? We've had 16 casualties last year. 14 of them were working for irresponsible contractors. No one should die. We're building the city. We risk our lives every day. Being a carpenter in the union, we have a pre-apprenticeship program and apprenticeship programs. And that's just with carpentry. So what I'm saying is there's careers for the young men and women coming up. And we're here to offer it to them. But it saddens me to say that you most likely will be working in Manhattan. And I know they're going to want to put their money here. We should be money-making Bronx. When is that going to happen? When are we going to be money-making Bronx? You have to put the money here. So how can we shake these people up? That's my concern.
Well, the fact that you're here
And I
tonight,
brought some brothers and sisters here today.
well, the fact that you're here tonight, and you're not just speaking to me, but you have local community representation. Every elected official, state and city is represented. The mayor is here as well. This is how we do it, and we make the case, and obviously you're going to see development in the Bronx, and you want to make sure that those buildings are going to be built safe, and it's going to be good union labor, and we want to have our children in apprenticeship programs, because there's nothing better. There's nothing better than building where you grew up. And one of the audits I did of the Build It Back program, you know, after the hurricane and all the neighborhoods that were impacted, the great thing, the residents would come when we did these public hearings, and they would say to me, put me to work building my community. I want to be an apprentice building the buildings that will let the neighbors I grew up with come back. And that's something we have to do. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. This is some meetings. I just Bronx thing.
We bring it.
You too, bring it.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you for having me tonight. This is the first time I'm attending a meeting like this.
It's great, right?
I want you to use your office as a member of, as a member of the Democrat Party. I usually get worried when I see the mayor and the governor having confrontation all the time. It does not fit well because they are two people in the same party. And this is upsetting a lot of people. I walk along the streets and I hear the talk. The mayor might be doing something and then the governor overlap. And I believe what is happening, if the people who are residing in the area know what is the cutoff period. We have a city charter and we have something which covers the state of New York. And I believe if you educate the people, they will be able to say something more on this. It is very troubling.
So what's the question?
The question is that you must make them work together because they are the same party. They are Democrats. The final question I want to make.
So I want to thank all of you for coming tonight.
You got a lot of work to do.
All right, so let me ask, in all seriousness, I'm on it. I got to get de Blasio and Cuomo to a meeting, and if I do that, come on.
Have to get a room together. Well, I don't know how to get it done.
But you know what? I got to tell you something. You know, I know both of them, and they love the state and they love the city, and there has always been a tension between governors and mayors going back to Rockefeller and Lindsay, but I hope that I think we're going to see some better stuff coming. I really do, because I know both of them very well, and we demand that they work together, right? They're both good people, so I'll try to help in any way I can.
Yeah,
they don't always listen to me.
One other quick question is, the whole of Gun Hill Road from Cobb City up to Bainbridge Avenue, you have buses 28 and 38. And all of them running I think the time has come
Express?
for them to have Express.
Bus rapid transit, bus rapid transit, do you notice that? Will you look into it? We're gonna look into it. We're getting a lot of discussion about bus service tonight. We're gonna look into it.
Yeah, because it is very important. Too many lights to stop.
All right.
Right? So thank you very
You
much for
got
having me.
two good questions.
Yes, thanks.
All right, we are in lightning round. Here we go.
I'm Dr. Alvin Ponder of Co-op City. I am a member of the Health and Human Services Committee on Bronx Community Board 10. And it's good to see you, Mr. Stringer.
Nice to see you,
I
sir.
see you often at the National Action Network, where I serve as the HIV/AIDS chair of that committee.
And I'm a member of the congregation.
Sir, brothers and sisters, friends and neighbors, our nation has fought and won the war against the tuberculosis epidemic. Our nation has fought and won the war against the polio epidemic. Our nation has fought and won the war against the pneumonia epidemic, but the war on drugs and HIV and AIDS still goes on. 7 out of 10 new HIV infections are in people of color. But your friend, our Governor Cuomo, had proposed a 3-point plan a couple of years ago to end the AIDS epidemic by 2020. Right now, we are in the process of an executive budget. And as part of the AIDS 2020 coalition, we are asking for $70 million to help end the AIDS epidemic. That would be $33 million for the AIDS Institute. That would be $17 million for state-sponsored housing. And the remainder is to match the mayor's HACCP fund. I'm asking that you would call on the State House and your friend the governor to help fund that $70 million.
My friend, right? All right, I'll call my buddy. But you raise a very serious issue, and we do need to match the HACCP funding, and we do have to end AIDS. The way you do that is by putting resources in the communities where the infections still continue to rise, and I do agree with you.
Thank you very much.
Hi. I'm wondering if your office, in looking at budgets and balancing things that will revive the Bronx, can we look more closely as the arts being part of that solution? I have a vision that if you build it here, they will come. I would like to see the arts and music, specifically visual arts and music, as making the Bronx a prominent destination for the arts.
Can I tell you something? It used to be, okay, you're right about arts. Where the artists go is where the neighborhoods get revitalized. I think you see that on 138th Street, Willis Avenue, and places where the artists are. But I will tell you this.
But what I'm saying is different. I'm talking, the example I would use is Nashville. Recording studios, practice spaces, tourist box, restaurants. It creates a city within a city. It creates lots of money.
Although we're almost done, folks.
Hip-hop has made money for everybody else all over the world. This is supposed to be the birthplace. You haven't made a dime.
Yes, ma'am.
This could become the richest borough instead of the poorest borough if we distinguish ourselves with the music of hip-hop and the arts, visual arts. Like she said, a farmer's market, also an artist stroll where I can sell my paintings. Tourist buses would come not only for our restaurants, but to see the art, an artist stroll. But if we think of ourselves differently...
I will work with you on it. You're absolutely right. And it's time now in the Bronx. I agree. All right. Bear with me. We're almost where we gotta be. Perfect. We're landing this plane, sir.
Hello, Mr. Controller. Thank you for coming to the Bronx. You're very brave standing up here and facing all of us.
I know.
Basically, I'm here to talk about our children. They're the stars of our future, and they must have reinvestments to make more productive in our economy and assistant. I understand Mayor de Blasio has his pre-care kindergarten programs going to be up and running soon.
It's up and running.
With help of our governor, Mayor Mario Cuomo, and that's great, but there needs to be more of a push for these children, science projects, math projects, and arts and crafts projects so they can mature and see a better, well-rounded chance to be more productive members in our society. And I wonder, is there a chance that could happen, or?
Well, I'll tell you one quick success story, and it happened in my first year as controller, and it speaks to the issue of arts education. And we did a report that showed that 400 schools in the New York City public school system didn't have a certified arts teacher in a classroom and no curriculum. And we put out this report. Mayor de Blasio calls me in and says, "Is this true?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Where is this coming from?" I said, "The Bronx and Central Brooklyn." The city council, while we're having a discussion, puts up $33 million to access arts teachers so we can pay for it. At the end of the day, it works, right? You do a report, you get the attention of the people who can make a difference, and then we work together to get something done. If we give kids a robust arts and science education, they will be the leaders in New York City with the high-tech economy. Our kids are the smartest, they're the most diverse, they've got style, they've got grace, and they are truly brilliant. All we have to do is give them the tools. Tonight, I look at the glass half full. We cannot fail these kids because all we have to do is give them the tools and they're going to be off to the races. And that's something that we have to remember. Last but not least,
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Lutnick. I'm a proud graduate of Lehman College. I also have a master's from a different borough, but we won't talk about that.
That's all right.
We are a borough of colleges. We produce many, many graduates, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, associate's degrees, but there are no jobs for these people. My son has 2 bachelor's degrees. He was working at 7-Eleven, okay? There are no high-tech jobs. There's like a brain drain in the Bronx. And I'd like to know what's being done to bring in good jobs, jobs that will lead people to the middle class and above. Because we, and even the borough president, because I've had this question with him as well, we bring in all these malls everywhere. All these low-paying jobs with no health insurance, with no benefits. What is being done to bring good jobs to the Bronx?
So, I don't have the silver bullet, but I will tell you, you're onto something. There are more people working in New York City than in the history of New York City. 4 million people have jobs. We have a low unemployment rate. That's the good news. The bad news is our job growth, where the jobs are coming from, are tourism and retail in the low-paying job category. We have got to flip that if we're going to revitalize all of our boroughs. So with that said, I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody. Could you give my amazing Deputy Controller and Chief of Staff a round of applause? The Chief Diversity Officer, Brian Cook, who you didn't really hear from, but he works with Banana Kelly and others on housing issues. Brian Cook, give him a round of applause. And also the great Bronx Community Affairs team from the Comptroller's office. You know how good they are. Don't just applaud for Jason, applaud for everybody here tonight. They do a great job. And I want to thank everyone from the Bronx. This was an amazing town hall meeting. You have put me through my paces. I'm not sure I'm going to work tomorrow, Sasha. I need a day off. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.